Rights Day, which is something that we commemorate in South Africa for a number of reasons. I think, our rights have been dickering for the last 400 odd some years. And the one thing that I feel like our generation is doing right is we are redefining, or rather reinforcing, some of the public holidays and what they mean for us. And I think one of the things that I appreciate is the right to believe and follow your spirituality to your choosing, right? And one of the things that I feel like in our gen we are learning to do right is how to navigate, the thing about gifting, being a gifted person and understanding that everyone has gifts. It's just some obviously choose to follow their gifts. And I think with that, it has to come from like internal conflict. It has to come from trials and tribulations. The trials will tribulate in order for you to get to a certain place where you're comfortable with your spirituality. And talking to us about this is Thebe Ya Mokone, who is a spiritualist, to talk literally about, the history, challenges, and the ultimate liberation of being a vessel of the ancestors. Thebe Ya Mokone, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good, thank you.
So let's talk about this. I feel like everyone goes through this phase in their life where you kind of questioning, where do I belong? What do I believe in? What's happening with my belief systems? Do I go to a synagogue, a mosque, or a church? Am I a Quran person? Am I a Bible person? Am I someone who connects with the earth? Some people combine everything together. What is that journey like for you, discovering your spirituality?
Okay, so spirituality for me is more about connecting with your higher self, your inner self, your higher consciousness. So the expressions will vary. So it's just a matter of finding what resonates with you, what really takes you there. This emptiness comes at some point in life where you really want to connect. You feel this emptiness and you're trying to find something that really fills that void. I was also trying by all means, I knew that there was this emptiness. At some point I would say I was maybe depressed, which probably maybe using wrong terms, but trying to really fill that void. I've tried different belief systems, making a research and things like that, but eventually I had to go back to who I am as an African, you understand, as Muntwane. I come from Limpopo, So finding ways to connect which are in line with who I am, my DNA, that really made things simpler and easy, so it's been a challenge, but we are there, we are getting there. Yes.
And how did you kind of find comfort or resonating with the spiritual, the ancestral side? I mean, you said you did your research, and what made you say, aha, this is for me, this is what's for me? Did they tell you? I know they visit in dreams, and but talk to me about that, because I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily understand how you kind of get into spirituality.
So should I take you through the journey, how it started?
Yes, please.
Okay, so for me it started with, I can say dreams. There are certain dreams, you dream about that, you dream about that. Then at some point you become denial, because you see certain things, African things, amabai, ancestral plots and certain things, which are clear to you that you need to focus your energy into this, but you become stubborn. Then from dreams I moved to another phase, so which we call ingulo, Ingulo is when you experience illnesses, you become sick because you are stubborn, They can become physical, they can become spiritual, misalignments, you can experience a whole lot of things, So eventually I was pushed towards a corner where I had to accept, At first it was more of a thing that I'm forced to do this, But as you proceed into this, you eventually fall in love with it. You eventually find that this is for you. This actually works, This gives you this inner peace, So I fell in love with it as I got to see that this actually serves me. It fulfills something within me. Yes.
I think there's something beautiful about that. That finding the love for it. I don't think a lot of people speak about the love of African spirituality. Like, if you decide that, no, this is a journey that you're going to take, well, you ultimately have to decide, because you don't want these illnesses all the time. But it's the fact that you do fall in love. You fall in love with yourself again.
True.
You kind of discover yourself again. I want us to get into that, but we're going to take a short break. It is a 6:40 Central African time right here on the Oasis.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Historia msikilizaji ya Valentine Day au siku ya wapendanao ilianzia katika nyakati za kale za dola la Roma. Watafiti wengi wa historia wanaamini kuwa siku hii inahusishwa na sherehe za kipagani zilizokuwa zikifanyika kila mwaka katikati ya mwezi Februari. Msikilizaji, sherehe hizo zilijulikana kama Lupercalia na zilifanyika kuadhimisha uzazi, upendo na mwanzo wa majira ya kuchipua.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
Start your weekend grounded and refreshed. Join Ntsako Mhlanga on the Oasis, Saturday from 6 till 9, only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Welcome back to it. It is the 6:41 Central African time, and we are sitting with Thebe Ya Mokone, who is a spiritualist, talking to us about, the navigating spirituality. So let's talk about back then, navigating spirituality versus now. Do you think there are any changes? Like, do you think people have become comfortable with the idea that other people connect with ancestors?
No, there has been some changes, a whole lot of changes. You mentioned human rights. One of the rights that we acquired when it comes to African spirituality is the expression. As you know that around 1957 we're not allowed to practice African things. There was the Witchcraft Suppression Act. When you practice African spirituality, you're prosecuted. You were going to experience a whole lot of things. So now, I think we have healed that aspect, or we are getting there. We have a generation of our parents who could not accept the calling, because then now we are dealing with people who were not allowed to practice at some point, who got to believe that African spirituality, it is demonized, it is demoralized, and such things, So, but now I think it is much better. We've moved past that time. We've healed. It is much better now, because we had this small period of time where we couldn't express ourselves, where we couldn't practice, where our spirituality was demonized and demoralized. So I think now we are doing much better now.
For me, as you're saying that, I can't help but think about the fact that even the fact that they called it a witchcraft suppression, like, I don't know, that within itself is the problem, right? Because
True.
Why is the act of spirituality now only attributed to witchcraft? Like, that is insane to me. I always ask spiritualists this question because it helps me understand where they are in their journey. But what is your favorite thing about spirituality? What is the thing that you say, I love it because of this?
I don't mean to be political, but spiritual just allows you to be. It's not something. It is not so systematic. We express ourselves differently, so you understand. It allows one to exist. So I think that's what I love about spirituality, that people get to express themselves differently, and we can all coexist. We don't get to fight over our differences. So I think that's what I appreciate about spirituality. It is human.
That is very beautiful. And what are some of the challenges now? Because I know that with you deal with, you're a herbalist, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Which means now you have to study a whole new part of the world. Talk to me about that journey.
Okay, so I'm very much passionate about herbs. It is what I love. It's a very huge thing. I think the challenge is the constant learning. I don't know, it's just a whole lot. It's really a big field, constant learning, traveling, I think that's it. I think maybe you can try and ask the question again.
What, especially, people who are dependent on, Western medication, the moment they feel pain, it's like, okay, there's a Panado or whatever. Do you believe, especially having understood herbs, that there is a herb for every single disease, every single illness or ailment out there?
I believe that there are herbs for most of the things. Most of the things can get healed and cured through African herbs and African methods, ne? But then now, as someone who's a herbalist, as someone who sells herbs and things like that, we have limitations within the South African laws and regulations. We are not allowed to say this herb can cure cancer. We are not allowed to use these big illnesses. We're not allowed to say this herb can cure TB or things like that.
Wow.
Yes, it is.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just the health thing and regulations, because I made my research while, selling my herbs and things like that. So I'm careful when it comes to such. I have to find creative ways to say, okay, instead of saying ulcers or instead of saying TB, I can just say Sifola. Because they have the same pattern, same symptoms. Because some of the Western illnesses amongst our people, they're not so Western. Some of them are spiritual. You understand? They can't really cure Sifola. But I can't say no. We can cure these ulcers. I rather use certain terms. So those are our limitations and challenges.
Wow. There's so much that you learn here because I did not know that.
Yes.
Wow. So in your community, I know that also with your TikTok, there's quite a reputation that you've built. How do you maintain that? How do you maintain that public face? Because as much as, yes, we, spiritually, you carry these gifts, but, you still are having the human experience, Do you find it hard to separate the two sometimes?
It's not much of a challenge for me. I think as a human being, you need to be one with your reality, As you progress in life, whether a lawyer or things like that, you must understand that, okay, fine. Since I'm in this field, I'm supposed to live in a certain way, So since I'm a healer, I had to make peace with certain realities that, okay, fine. I need to conduct myself in a certain way. I need to carry certain values, And even in our level of practice and our level of spirituality, for people to get healed, we need to maintain a certain way of living.
Of cleanliness.
So I think it's not much of a challenge. Eventually you get used to it. You have to maintain a certain level of discipline. There's certain things that now you can't really do, Not that it's a bad thing, but they help you, even as a human being, you need to conduct yourself in a certain way.
And I feel like it's important. I mean, it's think about even leadership, leaders in the country and, in departments, you can't just be seen dancing on tables, it's kind of,
Exactly.
It's the rule of law. Good to like if you are stepping into a position that is elevated, you kind of have to play the part,
Exactly.
So what's coming up? And, I know as right now we're in the middle of the most insane retrograde I've ever experienced.
Yeah, no, true.
And I'm a Pisces, so you can imagine the type of month I'm having.
No, it's really a hectic one.
Yeah, what are some of the predictions for this year? Like in terms of, just the general energy for 2026?
I feel like spirituality, it is becoming very dynamic. It is going to be political. It is going to influence people in different sectors. I feel like we will move from just ukupahla and just doing simple rituals, but we will see people reclaiming what's theirs. I'm trying to avoid being political, but I'm looking at an age where people awaken. People will be proud to be African. People will fully embrace. People will reclaim what's theirs. I'll just maybe
Sounds
stop
like
there.
you're getting the land back, good.
That's what I'm trying to go. But then
No, be political about it. I mean, listen, we're literally Channel Africa. So for us, the African perspective is always our priority.
Yes.
So if we're reclaiming something that belongs to us, then great.
Exactly, because part of the healing is not just about doing rituals and things like that, but our ancestors, they need deeper healing. So we'll move from different phases. We had a phase of accepting ourselves around 2021 and Corona and things like that. So now our ancestors, they need the healing of them occupying their spaces. They know their lands, they know their things, so they want us to take space. It's a vast thing. We are not limited, so our spirituality is vast. So we are getting there. We can see our people occupying educational spaces, of which I'm proud. They're learning, they're language, they're learning history, they're learning politics, and I believe will be very much skilled enough, to eventually get there where we heal our ancestors by getting our things back, our lands and our positions within this society.
And that's beautiful. I think that's a beautiful way to kind of look at spirituality from a holistic point of view. Because if you're saying that now we have done a lot of work and there's still more work to do, but we get into a point where we healing our lineages. Because the one thing that I don't want is for our children and our children's children to suffer the way that we did, to go through some of the things that we did. We want to make sure that their life is not easy, but it must be easier.
Exactly.
With us, breaking these generational curses. So this is very exciting. Where can we find you on social media?
I'm on TikTok as Thebe Ya Mokone. That's where I'm mostly dominant. Yes.
No, thank you so much for talking to us today. And that prediction, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see what our lineages are going to do, and also taking the load off. Unfortunately or fortunately, it had to be this generation to fix things.
True.
Because of the cell phones and our connection to the internet and the information that is at hand. So we look forward to it. And also just to recommend for those who are navigating this retrograde and it's retrograding, what advice do you have for us?
The retrograde, I find it, my experience with retrograde, I didn't know what was it. I just experienced a phase where I'm just confused. Things are all going in reverse, and I lose track of time and track of things. For me, that's my experience of retrograde. So I find it as a time where people need to maybe try and slow down, and go easy. Because a whole lot can go wrong when you're trying to move fast in a retrograde,
Yeah.
Yes.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Amazing. It is 6:51 Central African time right here on the Oasis.
Africa is changing.
And the world